Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Welcome back to another video. Myself and Ahsan, the 9321, the connected one, are here to waffle happily about Manchester City Football Club, because Manchester City Football Club, I'm not sure you've heard the news, we're fucking brilliant. We're a really, really good side, and today we're going to talk about that in loads of detail. And of course, alongside me over here, I've got Mr. Ahsan Naeem. Ahsan, how are you doing on this fine, beautiful blue day?
I didn't have to go back to bed. Normally, this is the point in the football season where I wake up, remember the result, and just go straight back to sleep. And I didn't need to do that this morning, so that was very, very, very cool. No, mate, I'm proud. I'm happy. I'm delirious. I'm from Stockport. What can I say?
One of your own, man. One of your own has done it for us.
Do you know what I mean? Even Chapel to Edgeley, it's not that far.
James, by the way, with the super chat. James, thank you so much. He's been a member of the 9320 for many years and loving these video, guys. Keep them coming. Of course, mate, of course. There'll be more in the future, trust me on that. P.S. Kev is pretty good at kicking the ball, isn't he? He is indeed. He is indeed. Guys, don't forget, if you haven't checked out the 9320 podcast, go and do it. It's absolutely wonderful. Basically, Ahsan with loads of wonderful Man City fans as well, chatting shit about the beautiful game and Manchester City Football Club. There's a link in the description. Go and follow him at 9320pod as well on Twitter. Absolutely wonderful. I have to get that in. A big love to James as well for the support this morning. And also as well, Ben, who said, up the Philip Walter Foden, mighty effing Blues. Indeed, Ben, indeed. Come on, man. I tell you what, Ben, I tell you what, Ahsan, football has this effect on you. I felt run down for the past couple of days, and I realised, I said to Nicola this morning, I guarantee I feel run down because I've been stressing about this game. Like, I'm not one to get overly stressed, but I reckon I was just shitting the potential fallout so much that it made me feel physically a bit tired and a bit run down. I honestly reckon it's made me feel ill. And today I'm walking on clouds this morning. There was no clouds in the sky, but if there was there, I'd be flowing. It's good, isn't it? It's good, Ahsan. It's good.
I thought about you and Howard when Bellingham scored that first goal. I wondered about how heads were in the immediate kind of 2 or 3 minute aftermath of that first goal, because that would have been peak time. But no. All's well.
But what we were saying as well yesterday, man, we were saying on the stream yesterday morning, we always score. I knew we were going to score yesterday. Obviously a lot of people weren't sure. And to be honest, I've just edited as well, a stream highlights video from last night's watch along. Howard's leave me alone. Never, Howard. Never, man. Never. We deserve it. Howard's even more cynical than me, I reckon, actually. But yeah, I still was confident even when we went down last night, and thankfully I've got the video footage to prove it. But I was in my head, I was already thinking about the bloody video titles and somehow having to front these things and being like, I don't want to do it. It was absolutely terrifying. But what does this say about this team, Ahsan? The mentality monsters, man. The real mentality monsters. I mean, I said last night, it could not literally be better. We are in every competition in the latter stages, and quite literally, it couldn't be better right now. It's just ridiculous. We need to really take that in, I think, at times.
Well, I think that last night's performance was, I said in the video we did yesterday, I think that what I wanted to see was just what we've shown in the last 27, 28 games. That's control, right? And with the exception of minute 4 to minute 12, we control that game of football. Back to front, we control the game. So, when you're the platform is that solid, you give yourself every chance of progressing and winning the tie. And I felt they didn't get a sniff after their first goal. And I think that our performance in the second half was a strange game in that I was in knots all the way through until Phil's goal. Yeah. I was in just not the story of me. And the Mahrez penalty is crazy.
I saw your tweet. Yeah, do you want to tell the story about that?
So they gave the penalty, and when it went to VAR, my head went. So I left the room, and then I left the house, and then I went and sat by the pool outside, and I don't smoke very often, and I lit a cigarette, and I just went, I'm just sitting here for 5 minutes, and whatever goes on in there can go on, and I'll go in, and I'll see what they decided and what happened. And I went in 5 minutes later as Mahrez was running away doing his golf swing celebration, and it was just like, Riyad just
and it
scored
literally
a penalty
takes that long as well. Now that's the
it
painful
was
thing about it. It's
crazy.
like
It's just
too slow. It's too painful. I had
no
no
as
idea.
soon as it went to VAR. As soon as it went to VAR, I knew it was going to take ages. And personally, I felt they were going to overturn it because I felt like they were just going to look for a reason to overturn it. And so I was like, I'm not going to be able to cope with that. And also just the fact that Mahrez picked the ball up to take the penalty. Not that, I don't want anybody yelling at me for that. But
no, it's
like,
mate.
Takes.
If any Manchester City player picks up the ball to take a penalty right now, I'm shitting it. Like any single one of them. I think there's not a single player. Like honestly, I was editing my match highlight kind of match watch along stream highlights, and my actual reaction I forgot was like penalty. No, and that's exactly what I did. Like I celebrated a penalty, and then I felt like we conceded. It was fucking terrifying. Like the realization of like I long for the days of even a James Milner on the penalty spot, man. I even long for those days. But when we've had someone asked last night in the stream, like, why does it feel so scary? It's like because none of them are. I don't think there's not great penalty takers, but there's definitely worse than some of the ones we've got. But I guess we were used to the best, weren't we? Yaya and Balotelli, and even Milner's a freaky penalty spot.
I think Yaya and Ballo over 10 years to have, or 10 years, 7, 8 years to have those two guys where a penalty was a goal. And I think the other thing is that we can't lose sight of the fact that our record is particularly poor. It's not that, it's not that we just got a ridiculously high standard. No, we miss a ridiculous amount of penalties. So
yeah, we do.
Yeah, it was, and I'd have gone with De Bruyne, but at the same time, I know that it doesn't matter who stepped up to take the pen. As long as it wasn't Ederson, I was leaving the room. Ederson is the only guy I'd have stayed in the room and watched the...
Joe was right. Tevez before them as well. Even Tevez was good at pens as well.
Carlos was good at pens as well.
Do you remember when Aguero was? Aguero was for a while. Like he was above average, like 85% penalty success ratio. Then he just kind of lost it a little bit, didn't he? It's interesting about KDB, by the way, because obviously it's a very side note, but he really doesn't want to take penalties, De Bruyne, does he? He did it because he had to, you could tell. But the fact that he gave this up so easily, especially considering he scored just as an important penalty last year against Madrid, says to me that he just really doesn't fancy it. And one thing I will say, someone like Kevin De Bruyne, he knows what he can and can't do, and he didn't want to. To me,
I'm not sure, because I think that they've got a weird democratic penalty system, which I personally don't like. Because if you listen to Mahrez's interview after the game, he basically says that after whoever missed last time, it was my turn. It was decided that I was going to take the next penalty. Okay. So when it arrived tonight, I knew it was me, which is why I picked the ball up. So I think that they have this kind of, it's like Pep's a bit unbothered, I think, by like who's the captain, who's taking the penalties. Like there's just he expects a certain level of responsibility, I guess, which I understand. Yeah. So I don't think that, I personally think that De Bruyne would take another big pen if he had to, no problem.
Oh, I think he would,
vibe.
Yeah. I think he would as well.
But I think for Riyad to take that penalty showed an incredible amount of nerve, a ridiculous amount of nerve, and it was a lovely penalty, and it was just I watched the replay, by the way. Everybody's saying you didn't watch the penalty. I know, but I watched it when they replayed it, and it was a lovely penalty. And it's just like
there's this thing called the internet, guys. Of course, Ahsan has I've heard of the internet and replays, but you're right. I tweeted as well about it being not that he needed a redemption, but I do feel like some of his career has definitely been clouded a little bit by the Anfield penalty miss. Not fairly, probably, but it's one of those things where it feels like someone's legacy a little bit, and that's definitely unfair. But it was just there. When most people ask Man City fans about Mahrez, they always think about the penalty because it was such a big moment at that. Even though it's long gone and it didn't matter in the big grand scheme of things. This was ice in his veins, as Ollie just said in the comments. Like genuinely, like that is some honestly big confidence, man, to do that. Given everything, given the status of the game, and like huge moment for him, man. Like this. Honestly, well, once again, we'll look at this. Hopefully, it leads to something more special. But either way, that moment for him, I mean, the confidence that he'll give Mahrez, and right now, he's definitely in our strongest 11 because he's delivering, and he's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, but once again, him and many other players on the pitch last night. just calm, collective. And I guess maybe they showed that we probably should trust in this side, and maybe it does feel different a little bit this year. I mean, is it as simple now anyway, Ahsan, as the curse is broken? You know, do you feel it's that? For me, it feels that way in terms of I don't think it was about going far in the Champions League. I think it was about getting past a certain kind of team in the Champions League. The celebration with Guardiola and Foden, I mean, it felt like a moment. Like, it felt like a moment to me. It felt like relief with Mahrez as well. It felt like all the team going, finally. It felt like a deep breath after a long, troll. Like, am I reading too much into this, man, or is it a big moment for Manchester City?
No, I mean, it is a big moment. I think that why it's a big moment is because literally Phil Foden's goal was a big moment. I think that Guardiola's talked often about ultimately you have to do it on the biggest stage in the biggest moments if you have to be if you want to be considered as one of the best. And there's no bigger stage in the Champions League. And I think that too many times in big moments, we've not had the guy to step up and do a madness that makes everything okay again. And I think that the Champions League is exactly about that. And you need players who can do that. And probably my biggest criticism of all of this lot, going back 10 years, right, is that they've all, to a greater or lesser extent, choked in the Champions League. In the big moment, like Messi and Ronaldo, they get considered how they get considered because they did it in the Champions League. Even like Salah, Mane, Firmino, right? We get arsy about the way that they are lauded or have been lauded in the last few years. They won the European Cup. That's why. Because when you go and do it on that stage, when you kill a game with something mad that you do in the Champions League, you've arrived. That's where valuations for footballers go like that. That's where, you know, that's the stage where if you deliver, you become special and your team becomes special. And I think that we just haven't had players who have done that enough, and certainly not in the knockout stages. I've had a feeling with Phil, and I'd love to know what you think, but I've had a feeling with him that the Champions League is going to be his competition because the kid is not afraid, and the kid has the kind of character where he goes, no, give me the ball. And I feel that some of our best and better players
actual goosebumps right now, genuinely. I'm getting a surge of adrenaline, and it's because of talking about Phil Foden. It's because I agree so wholeheartedly. I agree that this kid, some players and some people, you literally got goosebumps thinking about it. Some players and some people, you watch them and you know they are destined to the top. And it's not because they're brilliant footballers. It's because something between those ears. It's because, quite simply, they believe in themselves and they have that fighting spirit and that big game energy. They believe that they can affect the game at the highest level. And I feel like Foden's got it even more than some of the legends that we've had at Manchester City. And that sounds crazy, but I feel this guy, imagine, right? Look, this is why he was already a winner. He won the Under-17 World Cup for England. That's a big thing. That's the biggest he can do at that possible age. But then, imagine, right, you join the dressing room at 17 years old and you're a local lad, you're a street footballer from Stockport, so you're a lad from Edgeley, right? You're literally rough and ready anyway. But you're being taught by the likes of Yaya Toure. I think he was probably there around the first team when he was there, leaving when he was a kid still. The likes of Guardiola, David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Aguero, Raheem Sterling, Ilkay Gundogan, Vincent Kompany. We could go on and on. This is your education, man. This is literally perfection. They are demanding you to perform at the highest level, and he feels like he belongs. And when you've got that confidence in your own ability, and you've got that fieriness and that localness, and you've got that love for the badge in the way we have, then you add that together with your own self-belief and your own kind of love of football as well. I think he's a fucking winner on a level that we've probably never seen from an academy graduate before. I genuinely think this guy,
100%.
He's got more of a Kevin De Bruyne personality than anyone else in that team as well. Like Kevin De Bruyne, you see his frustration. Like Kevin De Bruyne, like I said on the stream last night, we've always got a chance when we've got Kevin De Bruyne. And I think we've always got a chance when we've got Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden, because Phil Foden absolutely feeds off that energy and he's learning how to be a winner. And if you look at the absolute opposite ends of those celebrations for the two biggest goals of the tie, by the way, his goal in the first leg absolute devastation that he hadn't scored more. Unbelievable mentality. And then the relief in the second one, knowing that he just won the tie for it, knowing that actually I've done my job to the level that I want to do my job today. And that, to me, it just speaks volumes about how good this kid is and how far he can go, because he's not satisfied. He's not satisfied with just being the best player on the pitch. He wants to be the best in his position in the world, and you can tell that. And you can tell that with the energy of his celebrations. You can tell that by the way that he steps up to the biggest stages in the biggest games. To be a big game player at that age, what a talent, and we can't underplay it, how good this guy is. We genuinely can't underplay it, because he really is the real deal. And I get excited thinking about it, because honestly, I almost think like David Silva, genius, legend, but I almost think Phil Foden's more of a natural winner than David Silva, and he's won loads. Don't get me wrong, David Silva, I'm not trying to put him down, I'm not. But in terms of sheer like drive to win a game, Phil Foden, he works like Zabaleta, and you've got like Kevin De Bruyne ability with David Silva ability with Zabaleta heart and desire. It's a sensational combination, and it's why to me he's going right to the very, very top, maybe to the top, literally. Because
he's got a higher ceiling than any footballer that I've ever seen play for Manchester City, and I include David Silva, Yaya Toure, Kevin De Bruyne, all of them. I think Phil's got a higher ceiling. I think he has to achieve all of those things. It's, we have to be careful that that like a career is long, right? And so for me, it's about incremental progress. It's about what like the development stages, like wanting to see Phil move through all of them. I think he's in the best possible place he could be in, because the squad is so big and it has so much quality that I said something a year ago and I said it lots on the 9320 podcast, and people who listen will know this. I said the reason Guardiola does not pick Phil Foden regularly right now is because if he picks him regularly, he won't be able to take him out of the side because of the performances and the goals and the assists that he will deliver. And then there'll be too many senior players on the bench. And actually, if you fast forward a year, that's exactly what's happened. Phil has put Pep in a position where Sterling and Jesus can't get in to the biggest games of the season because Phil is that good and that deadly and operating at that level. And I think that's the kind of the development stages. He's put himself in the right. I'm in the best 11 now. But what I think will happen, and I think it's important that it does happen, somebody will push him. Somebody will. You understand what I mean? He needs that competition. He needs to sit out 2 games at some point because Sterling's been unbelievable or Jesus has been unbelievable in training. And Pep's gone, you know what, Phil? Sit. These boys get a chance now. Because I think that having that ability, because he's so young, to put him in and then strategically just take him out, I think that's key. It's absolutely key to getting him to Ballon d'Or level, getting him to, I had my tongue half in my cheek when I tweeted Haaland and Mbappe should have a third person in that conversation, Foden. Like, there was always an element of City fan in me saying that, but there isn't anymore. The boys just scored 2 of the most important goals in Manchester City's modern history. In 7 days.
He's either scored as many or, if not more, than Iniesta in Champions League quarterfinals already. That's not bad, is it? That's not bad. I'm not that, and then obviously that's a slightly irrelevant stat because it doesn't really mean anything. I'm not trying to denigrate Iniesta. I'm just talking out about. It shows that what he's done isn't normal. It's not a thing that every high quality player has done to be this involved and this influential in a tie of this level. That's the only point I'm making there. It just speaks volumes just for his natural ability and his natural inclination to try and change a game. And I also think you're right. I think Guardiola will take him out of the team at some point. And I saw a stat. He's only started 14 Premier League games this season, which shows exactly what Guardiola has been doing. And he's been doing it for a reason, man. He's been doing it it's the whole, carrot and the donkey kind of thing. He's literally pulling him forward. And it's almost like this Guardiola guy knows what he's doing, doesn't it? At developing young players. It's like everything. And I've moaned about it and we've all moaned about it a few times. But at the same time, I've always trusted that his game time would get better and better and more. And I've always felt he's been in the right place because I've always been been a firm believer that elite talents develop around elite coaches with elite players in elite conditions. And it's always the way. You learn from the very best. Someone feel like Phil Foden never should have gone on loan. He never should have left Manchester City Football Club. And Guardiola is proving himself right once again, because Guardiola pretty much is always right. He's more right than any other manager in world football. Sometimes we need to remember that, because no one gets more decisions correct than Guardiola in football. That's an actual fact. I'm sorry, and I will go to my grave defending that. But Guardiola last night, I do think there was something in that celebration. I do think there was the way I've watched it back a few times, and you could see something click in Foden's head when he ran to Guardiola. Because he did that, then he fought Guardiola, and that was intentional. That was not because I've scored a goal and I want to celebrate my boss. That was him saying, I honestly believe it's subconsciously, it was him going, oh, cheers, man, cheers. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Absolutely.
And I guarantee you, Foden's doubted Guardiola at some point, because you would do, because you're young and you're confident, and he has the balls take on the world, and he's probably gone, oh, you are so right about me, man. You are so right. Thank you for getting me to this level. Thank you for trusting in me. Thank you for being patient with me when maybe I haven't been patient with myself. I do think last night Foden looked at the bench, saw Guardiola, and it was very much, it was a respectful hug. And it was like, I love that imagery as well, that mirror imagery of the celebration with Guardiola and Messi as well, when they're doing it, when they're holding each other head in hands.
Absolutely.
Man, that stuff matters. It matters more than we realise. I do believe football can change in moments like that. We forget fundamentally that football is a game played by humans and people, and your year and your day and your life can change in a moment like that. And he's going to the top anyway, but I honestly believe those moments matter just as much as a 6-0 victory sometimes in a game, because those moments set the tone for the dressing room. They set the tone for the belief in the squad. Yeah. And Foden last night, that moment for me, the celebrations, like, well, look at Nathan Ake in the photo in the background smiling at his colleagues, they make you feel involved. Even just as a substitute warming-up, you feel involved in that collective, cathartic spirit. And I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I want to bring up this super chat. Here, Benapiori is saying, City have truly matured this season. Diaz, KDB, Gundo, Dino stepped up. The PSG game is going to be the biggest game of the Pep era. It's a big shout, man. City till I die. It does feel like we've matured this season, and I don't think that's an exaggeration. I mean, to be honest, look where we are. What's your take on that, Ahsan? Do you think we have matured this season? And if so,
yes.
Why?
100%. I think everybody's matured, including Guardiola. And I think that it began with Pep finding that something was wrong and deciding that it needed to be solved. That includes signing Diaz. It includes putting Stones back in the team. It includes being ruthless in moments. And yes, it includes the team collectively being more mature in how they handle situations inside of games and how they handle games as a whole. I just think that this season we are better at being cold, no matter how emotional the game should be. At 1-0 last night, that game should have been very emotional. There should have been a lot of heads that went on the City side, and there should have been a lot of heads and tails that were up on the Dortmund side. But the fact that we showed maturity, calmness, belief in our ideas and our systems, in our players, there's so many small things that go into a Pep performance.
Oh no, but I accidentally muted it. Go on, it's I actually muted it. Go on, you're saying there's so much. What second?
There's so much. There's so much. There's been so much maturity in the performances this season. I completely agree with that. And what I was saying then is there's so much detail that goes into Pep performances that we don't necessarily appreciate, but there's a lot of this season. What's been good has been in little. It's been in, a bravery in build-up, a quality in the build-up. It's been in, having the mentality to be patient at 45, 50, 60, 65 minutes, knowing you need a goal, to not start throwing, just keep going back to post-West Brom and what Pep said. Make the ball do the work, stop running, go back to your basic principles, high and wide. Do you know what I mean? Let the build up, like the basics. And that's That's what this has been built on. Pep's a genius. Everything you said is absolutely true. He's the best coach in world football. What he's done this season is always, of course, it's about the quality of the players and the depth of the squad. But this title, more than any title, will be Pep Guardiola's title. And he owns this season. And at the end of this season, he should have the respect of the world of football. I think Zidane talked about it the other day. I caught an interview with Zidane somewhere where he basically said something like, it's been a weird season for everybody except for Pep Guardiola, right? Just like, there you go. So I think that there is, privately, I think people will be looking at the City team, people in football, and going, bloody hell, Guardiola is just something else.
I know our squad's incredible, but once again, you're only as good as your manager. Once again, like, I mean, honestly, I believe that we're a super club now, but there's no better super club manager than Guardiola, because it's not just about getting results. It's about managing a squad full of world-class footballers who believe they are the best and they should be playing every single week. It's about managing expectations. It's about making sure everyone is happy every single second. It's about constantly being the guy that everyone's aiming for. Everyone's got a target in Guardiola and Manchester City's head, and that the pressure that comes with that. It's about managing Phil Foden. It's about, managing someone like Sergio Aguero, potentially not being happy. What it takes to do that, it takes insane intelligence. It takes an immense amount of respect and charisma from your squad to be able to go, no, I'm sorry, you're sitting on the bench. Imagine telling a guy like Sterling, who's played probably more than anyone else for Guardiola outfield. I'm pretty certain he has probably does have the most appearances outfield for Guardiola. Imagine telling like someone like him to have the balls to say, no, I'm sorry, you're sitting on the bench at the moment because your form isn't good enough. But then they'll still respect him because they know that he's Guardiola and he can say that and he'll mean it and he's probably right. And that takes not just ability, it takes belief. One second, Ahsan. Everyone's mentioned about Lou Martin's tweet. I'll get onto transfer talk in a bit, by the way, because I want to check about
what's
the game.
Lou Martin tweeted?
It's about Kane, apparently. City going after Kane instead of Haaland. But we'll get onto it in a bit, Ahsan. I know you're loving a bit of transfer news. You can see your face lighting up, but I'll bring it up because I want to talk about the game a little bit first, and then we'll go into transfers.
Go.
But I've got a PNG ready to come on the screen when we'll talk about it in a bit. I know everyone's like, stuff in the comments, but we'll get there in a bit. But yeah, no, I've lost my train of thought now as well because of transfers. But Guardiola, I think we don't give him anywhere near the credit not us. I think people are unwilling sometimes to give him the credit that he deserves, and it's not easy what he does. Ahsan, I know I can see you looking at the transfer stuff already. What I will say, Ahsan, before we get into that stuff, PSG, how are you feeling about the game?
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, so like. There's a lot of narrative around City PSG for me because obviously 9320 listeners will know that that's my home, Paris, even though I'm in Ibiza right now. And loads of mates who are PSG fans, and I think it's going to be two incredible oil money games. Really, they're going to be best advice to give everybody: tune out of anything the media say. Forget about it. Don't get upset about anything that they say. Forget about that. They are going to be two incredible, intense games of football. Pochettino versus Guardiola again. Okay. I think almost our kryptonite, the counterattacks, is their expertise. I think the games are going to be just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful spectacles. And but confidence is not something that we shouldn't be. Somebody's already said, it's City's to lose, isn't it, the Champions League? And I'm just like, look, like City, whenever they don't win the Champions League, they've failed. So if they'd have lost last night, they'd have failed. If they lose to Paris, they'll fail. If they lose in the final, they'll fail. Fine. We accept that every year as a narrative. But for me, that tie is going to be wow. Really, it's just going to be wow.
It's the level that we want to be at. I mean, I for some reason will feel less nervous about that tie than I did the Dortmund game, and I think it's because of that psychological block that's been building in our heads for such a long time. This idea that we always mess it up at this stage. For some reason, I'll be relishing the PSG game, and I think it's because the expectations are different because we know PSG have the quality, and if they beat us, it's Mbappe and Neymar, man. It's just That's sometimes it's just high quality teams can beat high quality teams, and especially given the fact that I don't want it to happen, but if something gives at some point, it's probably not unfair. We've got an immense amount of difficult games lined up, and we possibly can win them all, but at the same time, that's very, very, very difficult to do. And for one game, we took our eye off the ball as we were fighting the Carabao Cup final, FA Cup final, trying to win the Premier League. It doesn't make us a bad side all of a sudden. And we're at the stage now where, with the competition for me, where I want us to win it, of course, but it feels like a bonus. It feels like we've got past that little mental block. Please win it, Manchester City. But PSG are a different kettle of fish. You know, they're not Lyon. They're not. Oh, by the way, I just tweeted last night. Can we all just never talk about Lyon again? Lyon is
definitely
over.
Not. Why are you talking about Lyon? Why are you talking about Lyon, Steve? Stop
that never
happened.
Anyway, they're not. Then that's all gone. It's dead in the water now. But basically, they are a different level to that. Whereas, but one thing I will say is like we go, oh, they've got this is once again another thing for Foden. They've got Mbappe, they've got Neymar. They'll be going. They've got De Bruyne, they've got Phil Foden, and it's crazy. They will be talking about in that way, and the French press will be talking about in that way. And Phil Foden, in my opinion, will have announced himself last night once again. Not that he needed to be announced, but once again, with all the eyes of the world on these games. He would have put himself in that conversation, and people will be looking at Foden now as a difference maker, not just as the backup to, you know, your Gundogan's, your Bernardo's, and KDB. He is literally in that conversation now, and that's crazy. That's crazy. They've got Neymar, we've got De Bruyne, they've got Mbappe, we've got Phil Foden, and that's the biggest compliment I can pay to Phil Foden, by the way. It's going to be huge. But anything else to add before we get into transfers, Ahsan?
Yes, I just want to say that I think we should probably take a minute to say Walker, Diaz, Stones,
yes,
even Zinchenko last night, and Rodri.
After that first 10-15 minutes, a little bit shaky, but it's a long game, man. It's a long game.
I've got a theory, or not a theory. I'll just say it. I think their asses did go after Dortmund's first goal. I think that they bottled it a little bit for the next 5 or 6 minutes. Without question, because they went from a full court press, a high press that was like right on the goalkeeper's throat in the first 4.5, 5 minutes of the game, to Dortmund scoring, and then City basically standing so far off them that all the Dortmund players have got like yard of space in front of them. So it took us a minute to mentally readjust the whole team. But once they did that, you know, the reason I bring those guys up is because you just talked about Neymar and Mbappe and them saying, well, City have got Foden, they've got KDB. I think they're going to be going, lads, this is not going to be like Bayern Munich. Like, the defense at Man City is not going to give you what Bayern Munich gave you. Like, Stones, Diaz, Walker are not what was it? Pavard, Boateng, Alaba, like whatever the combination of defenders at Bayern was. No, it's not what City have got this season. Like, you know, like Kyle Walker v Mbappe in a 1v1 is going to be a top battle. But I'm not somebody who's, you know,
he's not faster than him. He's not running away from, because no one runs away from Kyle Walker. No one runs away from Kyle Walker.
No, and you look at the way that you look at the way that Stones manhandled Haaland. I mean, this is what I mean. That, you know, we're not a soft touch. Like Paris ain't coming to City or looking at that tie and going, "Oh, they're soft." This is not a soft City team.
Yeah. And the thing is, as well, you've got to bear in mind that this City team is tested, and with all due respect to the Bundesliga, at a high level every single week. And the games Manchester City are in at the moment, like, I guess there's one argument to say that even though it's going to be physically tiring, there's no way our senses aren't going to be absolutely sharpened and heightened by the games around it. It's very much like you are in this now, and you can't drop for 1 second. And thankfully, we have the squad to deal with that as well. But these players will be, put it this way, they'll be tested and ready for those games when they come round, because we've got too many big games. Every game now until the end of the season feels like a cup final, every single one.
And you know what? I want to say one other thing. Actually, the fact that we've got through is like so unbelievable, because now the entire squad has got 2 weeks to get itself into the starting 11 for the Paris game. So everybody who isn't getting a game right now is going to be taking every opportunity to try and get into that side. And like you look at guys like Sterling and Jesus, for example, and I'll even throw Ferran Torres in there, even though people will laugh. Like those three guys have got 2 weeks now to do some madness in the games that they do get to get themselves into contention for ties, and that hopefully is going to keep driving us on in all.
Yeah, no, you broke up a little bit there, man. But no, you're right. No, you're absolutely spot on. I mean, also you got to bear in mind the fact that hopefully we could have just won a trophy by the time of that first leg, and there's nothing that gets the team going than a trophy win. I maintain that's why I love the Carabao Cup, and I honestly believe that other teams undervalue just how important it is for an end of the season push, because it's all about success and silverware. Putting your hand on a trophy, lifting a trophy in front of fans, usually, of course, but then celebrating in the dressing room with your teammates. That's the good shit. It's a drug. It's absolutely addictive, and winning breeds winning. Success breeds success.
That's what they're in it for.
Exactly, because it defines. We were talking about it yesterday, man. It defines their legacy, and at the end of the day, that's all they've got, and that's all they've got when they hang up their boots and they want to see those trophies, and they want to feel like they can be arrogant and tell everyone, like, look at my career, man, look at my medals, because that's what I would want if I was a footballer, and that kind of stuff matters. And I tell you what, going into a PSG semi-final after you won a trophy, there's not many better places to be mentally than that, in my opinion. It's like pretty much the best place you can be. Yeah, they'll be tired, but adrenaline is that is a big factor, and will be absolutely, hopefully pumped up. And I tell you what, even then, if we lose, do you remember the reaction after we lost to Spurs in the Champions League, played Spurs again, and we won the day after with Foden scoring, not the day after, a few days later. You have to trust in this side, I guess is what I'm getting at. And once again, trophies mean everything, which is why trophies are so important to Harry Kane. I'm going to overload this tweet now from City Extra on the screen right now, because there's a little bit of news. It's too small. It's too small. I'll make it a little bit bigger. It says Man City's goal is not Erling Haaland, according to Lou Martin. It's Harry Kane, despite Pep Guardiola stating that they will not sign a striker. In addition, Kane is a little fed up with Jose Mourinho. I'm going to make that bigger on screen. Ahsan, unpack that for me.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll take Harry Kane over Haaland, but I don't believe that, I don't believe what he's saying. I believe
I don't believe it either. I don't believe it either.
But one, it's a good story. Two, definitely fires another shot. Do you know what I mean? Lets them know there's another guy and he desperately wants to come here, and we can go and do that deal because he's desperate to only come here. So show me that you're as desperate to come here. Look, I'm under no illusions that Erling Haaland is our number one target, and I'm under no illusions that they'll do everything that they can do to get him in.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think Haaland is the target, and I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe it's we've recently inquired about Harry Kane, and maybe it's because of the noises coming from Kane's camp or whatever. And as we were talking about yesterday, there's a lot of loud noises coming from Kane's camp at the moment, isn't it? Because he's clearly not happy. So I'm not sure if that's just more of a recent development, but I don't think we're going to just say no to Haaland just like that. You don't make someone your number one target like that and decide, we changed our mind. It doesn't make any sense.
No. So they've not changed. So if you actually read what he's saying, he's trying to peddle the idea that City's goal was never Haaland, that it's Kane. That's what makes me go, you're not really...
Exactly, because we are clearly in for Haaland. We are clearly in for Haaland. I mean, we're not meeting Mino Raiola for no reason. We're not having Haaland's dad at the Etihad as a guest for no reason, are we? None of these things make no sense whatsoever. We're not doing do you just fancy a brew, Alfie, just for the sake of it, a catch-up?
No.
Come on, man. We've got our heads in the clouds if we think that's a situation. But either way, I do think the interest in Kane is real. I think it's a massive option. I mean, I don't... Yeah, and I don't doubt for 1 second that Kane is probably fed up with Mourinho, and who wouldn't be fed up with Mourinho? He's a miserable man, and he's very easy to be fed up with. It's interesting, though. I think we will sign a striker. Who it's going to be, I don't know. What should it be, Patson Daka or Darwin Núñez now after all this? But I guess one thing we've proven, by the way, is that whoever it's going to be will probably do all right, because look at us last night. No striker on the pitch, beat one of the best teams in Europe, and they are one of the best teams in Europe, even if their Bundesliga form doesn't show it. With the quality that we've got, would you be all right with Kane? I mean, I would personally. I'd be very happy with Kane.
Definitely, I said that yesterday. I'd have Harry Kane all day long. It's cool.
Yeah.
Look at the team that we've got. Look at what we're doing without a number 9. You put Harry Kane in that team, it's just unfair on other people. In the same way that you put Erling Haaland in that team, and it's just unfair on other people.
Exactly, and it would be a massive deal. But I guess that's something for another day, because right now, once again, City have just gone through to the semi-finals.
Exactly. Like today's not a transfer day for me. Today is we're in the semi-finals of the Champions League. We're going to play Paris Saint-Germain. We get an opportunity to show another collection of players uphand and personally how good we are. I think that's not a bad thing either. I think these performances in the Champions League they reinforce the bigness of Manchester City, because I think that's something that you can't reinforce enough, the bigness of it all. No, the scale, like the quality. People, I want to say something just about last night. Dortmund were appalling in the second half. And why were they appalling? Because they had 11 behind the ball, that everybody was deep in their own half before that penalty. You cannot, that's spineless and it's gutless and it's cowardly. And when you have a collection of players like they have to pitch up and roll like that, you got everything that you deserved. And I think it's a testament to how good Guardiola is and how we can put the fear of God in teams, because Paris will do exactly the same thing. They will try and shithouse their way through 180 minutes to beat City. And hopefully this is the season that we basically go, you'll have to find a new tactic, boys, because if you go shithouse, we'll beat you.
I mean, no, you're absolutely spot on. I mean, I said at half-time that I think Dortmund would probably be terrified at half-time. Not because... even though they scored, I think they were sat there thinking, well, do you know what? If we concede now, we're out. And given their form this season, I genuinely think it was Dortmund were felt under so much pressure because they scored and it could mean absolutely nothing. It's one of the things where a goal could, and I think they would expect us to score as well. Like, and they would have obviously felt not confident, felt hopeful that they could have kept a clean sheet. But I don't think for 1 second, looking at the Dortmund side, that they believed that was going to happen. And in my opinion, you could sense it because they sat deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's why I felt a little bit of confidence going into the second half, because every minute that passed in that second half, they were shitting it. They were absolutely shitting it because they know this City side have got too much quality and they'd have the defence for it. And I guess that's the way it proved. I actually want to talk a bit about Zinchenko, by the way, because he's not played much football recently. That's one thing we don't really consider. Like, he has, but at the same time, Cancelo's been starting big games at left back. Mendy's been playing the rotation games. Zinchenko last night, I mainly just want to talk about him because I'm happy for him as well, because called in last night. Not out of the blue, because it was relatively expected after Guardiola's comments. But what a performance. After the initial shaky period that everyone had, just so involved, so steady. And I guess he's proven once again why he's worth of that trust. And he's possibly played himself as well into the next tie, I reckon, and into the actual team, which is tough on Cancelo, but I guess it shows once again that this squad is ruthless. Like, Cancelo's been brilliant this season, but there's no rest for the wicked, man. If you drop for a second, you are on the bench, and that's how it should be, for what it's worth. It should be that way. And I think remember Guardiola saying that a couple of months ago when he was like, no, if I'm going to play the players you play now, who are performing, and he stuck to his word. And Zinchenko, I'm happy for him, man. What did you make last night?
Yeah, I mean, I actually have... I think I almost prefer him to Cancelo at left back. I think, to be fair to Cancelo, his standout performances have been at right back for us this season. And so I can understand why, when you need to put Walker in for that defensive solidity, why he's tried Cancelo at left back to give him whatever Cancelo was giving him earlier in the season. But from the left, it's just not as effective as it is from the right. So there's that. But I just think that I said this before the game. I said this in our chat yesterday. I said it in a few places, said it in the podcasts. Zin has played some big games this season. I think that his performance against Chelsea, at Chelsea, was the benchmark that I was looking at for the game last night, in terms of going, if he plays like that and he allows the team to play in that way, then it'll be excellent. And I think we really saw that. And I know, it's like, we worry about pace a lot. We talk a lot about the idea that Zinchenko is slow, and that's why we don't like him at left back. But when the team is compact and everybody positionally is where they should be, we shouldn't be getting exposed to counterattacks right down the flank you know what I mean?
No, you're right.
Like that shouldn't be happening. So the onus and responsibility is on the team to protect Zinchenko, not the other way around. So yeah, I mean, I thought he was just wonderful and wonderful in this. I don't want to overdo it because, like, you know, it's the point is that you can't do what we did last night unless there's a collective there, and the collective includes Zinchenko at left back, and it's what we consider a problem position, which is I suspect why you kind of brought it up, because that position, whether he's right for it. I completely agree with you. I think for Cancelo to play at left back again this season in a big game, I think Cancelo will have to do a madness in training or in a smaller game where he's put at left back, because Zin's more than done enough for me to be going, no, we should be planning with him having rests before big games so that he's got the legs to play in those games. And I think the other thing that is a little bit unfair on him and a little bit unfair on all of them, but they've got to suck it up, is the fact that rotation breaks rhythm. Like Zinchenko, a guy like Zinchenko, left back isn't his natural position. He probably, you know, if he'd played every single game at left back since Chelsea, he'd probably have started last night as he ended the game. But because you see what I mean? Like, it just, you could take time to build that rhythm up. So, no, just really, really made up for him. And, you know, just
what a guy.
What a guy. What a guy. What a team. What a squad. What a manager. You know, if you think that last night is an opportunity to slag off somebody who was on the bench, don't do that. Like, this is a squad game. It's a squad game, kids.
I don't understand some people when they do that. Like, I saw people like, I looked at the comments this morning with videos.
I'm not going to name names because I don't want to do it. I'm just saying, in general, people, you should be thankful for the squad. Soon as you start taking guys out and going, we should sell him, you're a knobhead. You don't know what you're talking about. Because
I'm with you on that. Like, I'm with you. It drives me mad. Like, I looked at the comments this morning in my videos. Everyone's entitled to the opinions and everyone processes things differently. I'm not expecting us all to be the same person because that would be boring in the world. But some people last night, I saw one of the first comments I saw this morning when I woke up, not like, come on, City, we're through. It was, we didn't create that many chances last night. I'm concerned about it. I was like, what the fuck is your head at if that's the first thing you're going to the day after? Like, I sometimes wonder if some people like moaning more than they do watching football. And of course, that's actually true. We're City fans. But I like, come on, man. You need, for your own mental sake, if you're genuinely sat there thinking about that afterwards, like, come on for you as a person. Like, you're not, that's not how to enjoy football. Have a day off, man. So what? Sterling came on and faffed up. Yes, guess what? Newsflash, he's out of form and he's still out of form. But guess what? It didn't matter last night. It didn't matter, you know? And I sit there moaning about that after we just won a Champions League quarter-final. Like, once again, where is your head at? Like, choose something else. Like, it's one of those things where, like, when 99 things have gone right, why would you then hone in on the one thing that's gone wrong? Leave that to Guardiola. That's not our job. We're fans, man. Like, sit there and it doesn't accomplish anything other than just spreading unnecessary negativity, not only in your own head, but online. Just leave that to Guardiola to worry about. We're fans. We're meant to enjoy the good shit. Like, I don't understand this idea of, like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, I can't sit there after a win, and a good win for what it's worth. It wasn't a bad win. It was a good win, you know. I can't sit there after that and just hone in on the negatives. Why? There's so much time for that in another day. Like, and there'll be a time for that when it actually matters. And but right now, like, what I'll say is, people, pick your battles, man. Pick your battles, because, like, life's short. It's very short. And if this last year has taught us anything about life in general, and not just football, life can be fucking shite. So when we've got a chance to be happy, take that chance, grab it with both arms, run with it, leg up the Mancunian way, don't just take it, run with it, and enjoy it, because you don't get many chances, especially right now, to be pure, unadulterated happy. And don't try and find a reason just to make it a negative, because it accomplishes nothing other than just pissing yourself off and pissing other people off. Like, just enjoy it. And I know it's not coming from a bad place always, because I know some people just they don't like to moan. It's just part of who they are. And you don't always mean it in a negative way, and maybe it's come from a place of over caution or whatever, but try and, if you see yourself doing it, try and go, why am I doing this, man? Just try and think about it in a good way, because, like, I get tired of it because it's bad for you as a person, and it's bad for everyone. Just It's a beautiful day. City have just won in a quarter-final of the Champions League. Life could literally not be better. And I'm going to keep saying this because it's true. It's impossible for life to be better than for Manchester City as it is right now. It literally isn't possible because we are literally in a semi-final. We're as far as we can be in every competition as physically possible right now. So there is nothing to moan about. Nothing to moan about other than, guess what? Everything isn't perfect. Well, that's not possible. And to quote Noel Gallagher, true perfection has to be imperfect. I always remember that quote from, like, I'm not a big Oasis fan, but that song, from Little by Little, that stuck in my head when I was younger. And it's true, man. Like, I'm sorry, you have to have the bad days to appreciate the good days. You have to have the defeats to appreciate the wins. And, like, I don't know, like, I just want people sometimes to take a step back and just realize how good it is. Because as we were saying yesterday, this is going to be over one day, and we're going to wish we had these problems.
Like, what we should do is we should just try and change the culture of a lot of what fan media is, because a lot of what fan media is just dickheads being outrageous, for
moaning,
the sake of it, right? And just being like, "Get him out of my club, get him." It's just like, you know what? No. Most of my life, City was shit, yeah. And one of the things that was always bitterly disappointing was the fact that when we were shit, there was always somebody that everybody just got on the back of every week. Yeah. There was always a scapegoat, always a player, always somebody. And it's just like, you can't do that now. We are not just the best football team in the country, but we're the best run football club in the country. When you put those two things together, in the world. Yeah. When you put those two things together, relax. Take a step back. Like I said, have a day off.
And what I want to say is, Big Johnny here says we can't help it. It's part of our DNA. I'm not moaning about apprehension, by the way, because not these. I want to make it sure I'm being clear. I'm not moaning about pre-moaning. I'm moaning about people who moan after we've just won. Like, because that in that case it accomplishes nothing. It's cynicism for the sake of cynicism, and it's unhealthy. Not even just in football.
I think it's unhealthy to say negativity is in your DNA. I think it's really unhealthy to say being negative is in my DNA. That's not a healthy place to be.
Big Johnny, like, I appreciate this comment, by the way, mate. And I guess I just want to make sure we're probably talking about different things, because I was nervous and apprehensive, and I love a good moan as well. Like
totally. But there's a difference between being worried, nervous, a little bit fatalistic, and being a knobhead who yells at players or thinks that every player is a robot and every coach is a robot and every decision that they get wrong gives me the right to stand on my pedestal and scream at them and be like, he needs to be sacked and he needs to be sold and how much are we paying him? And not for me. It's not right now.
Big Johnny, I recognise your comments. I know you're probably not doing that, mate. But I'm not moaning about typical City either, because it's kind of funny. No. And to be honest, I would never get rid of typical City, because I think that is part of who we are, and I like it, and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of it because when we were down here, I'm wearing this shirt right now, I like where we come from, because there's not a single fan in the Premier League who can relate to what Manchester City fans go through. There isn't, because our circumstances are unique, and they're unique, and we're very blessed and we're very lucky. But honestly, once again, where we've come from makes where we are right now sweet. And of course, it tinges how we view the world, and I would never change that, because you live with the hand you've been dealt, and you've got to find the enjoyment. You've got to find the values in these little things. You've got to, because it's fun. Life is ridiculous. Football is ridiculous, and I believe, like, sometimes you just got. It's why often when we can see it, I sometimes laugh, because I think football, man, it's fucking ridiculous. It's fundamentally stupid. Mate, we are watching 22 grown adults run around who are paid to be millionaires, run around kicking football, and we are crying and laughing and screaming over it. It's fundamentally stupid when you sit back and look at it. But then so is life, so is existence. You will get really deep, and that's why I try and enjoy it for what it is, and especially if we win, enjoy it. Because I could get far too in my head.
Mate, we should leave it right there. That's the note that everybody should be left with right now. Lads, enjoy this, because it ain't. I'm not sure it gets better than this. Genuinely,
it doesn't.
Sure
it doesn't get better, Ahsan. Life is very good, guys. Life is very good. Ahsan's very good. 9320 podcast is very good. Go and check out all their content. From
Please do.
It'd be wonderful. There'll be a link in the description. If you haven't already followed him, I'm going to put a link in the Twitter, the chat now.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to. Can I say I'm trying to get to 10,000 followers? I think we're like 600 away or 500 away, something like that.
Let's
So,
get there today. Let's get there
you
today.
know,
I've
like-
just put a link in the chat, guys. Go and follow 9320 podcast. Let's get in there today. We'll do a mammoth collective effort to get him there.
Let's get
Ahsan's
10K.
Ahsan has done wonderful work. Luke said, "What did I say, lads? Confidence 2-1 City getting exactly, Luke. Big love." And Big Johnny just clarifying, talking about typical City. Never die, typical City.
Yeah,
Viva the typical City. But either way, life is very, very good, guys. What a day. Go and get some fresh air. Enjoy life. Here's to Pep Guardiola. Here's to Ahsan. Here's to Manchester City Football Club. Love you all loads. Like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Listen to 9320 in a bit, guys. See you later.
Up the Blues!